Hi, everybody. I'm Blake Cabot. I am the owner of facepaint.com and the Professional Face Art Academy. And I am here with Gretchen Fleener, author of many face painting books. She's been doing this for 28 years. We're going to be learning about jewelry today. Always fun. Well, with all that said, Gretchen, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We're going to get right down to some jewelry painting here right away. I'm going to start with just painting something in my own hand here. We're going to paint. Let me know if you can't see.
No, I can
My
see your
light's
hand.
too bright. Is that too bright? Okay. I'm looking
No.
washed out on my end, but
Yeah, you are
uh,
looking a little washed out. It's true.
we'll see once I
Hello,
start
Kim.
painting. Let me know if it's wonky, but I'm going to start with just walking you through a round gem. So this is a page out of my jewelry book. I kind of walk you through all the different gem shapes and how to draw and paint all of the different facets. So we're going to start with that.
Mm-hmm.
And and what I've got is a cool little palette here of what I'm going to use tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, does it all fit? Um, what you're going to need tonight is a glycerin based white and black and a wax base. I'm using Paradise for my glycerin and Wolf for my wax based. And then we'll pick whatever color gem you want to do. Just pick out a few different shades of that color. So I'm going to start with a red gem. This is my main color. I've got a lighter version and a metallic version. Just kind of find some different shades.
Uh-huh.
And if you have a neon and a metallic and a regular, that's kind of cool too. If you don't have, all these different versions of a color, check out your split cakes. I've got my Craze Deep Love here, which has a good, really dark red and a neon pink. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
be using those for my gem. And then I've got a brown here for a drop shadow. So that's what I'm going to be starting out with tonight. Ooh, and I've got things rolling down my desktop. So we're going to start out with our round gem. I'm going to use my brown here just to kind of outline a circle.
This is we're going to be doing jewelry designs. So this
Yes. Oh,
realistic
I'm
jewelry
so
designs, Michelle.
realistic jewelry. Can you see that? That's just kind of for my reference.
And if you could put
So,
it as much in the middle as you can of the on the so a little bit to your left.
how's
Perfect.
that? There we
Perfect.
go.
There we
I
go.
forget that the camera on a phone is not centered.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, let me know if I'm
No, you're
out
perfect.
of view. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by just for reference, doing 4 dots. So I'm imagining a diamond shape inside my circle. These dots are just inside the circle, not on the edge, just inside. And I'm just going to connect the dots with kind of a curved line here. I'll make these thicker so you guys can see them. Normally I would do this really light so that you don't have really cartoony lines, but now I'm going to do the same thing, just shift it now it's gone from a diamond to a square, I guess, from your orientation.
Uh-huh.
Same thing. All we're going to do is draw some shapes and color them in. You guys can do this. It's a coloring book. There we go. And now we're going to do some dots. Let's see. Not where your last ones were, but halfway between and out on that edge. That makes sense. So I'm looking at this intersection. I'm going to go out to here, looking at this intersection, out to here. If I zoom in for you guys,
Mm-hmm.
let's do that. The magic of technology. Just drawing these dots all the way around. All of them, I'm imagining like an invisible line from the center
Okay.
out through that intersection to the edge.
Okay.
And then I'm going to connect the dots, zigzagging my way around like so to create all the facets,
Hmm.
connecting all those dots with all the points. So now I've got my coloring book here. I'm going to fill in. So you can see in my book here, I did like a gray colored gem.
Okay.
There's a purple one. You can see how the different shades interact with each other. So we're gonna have metallic, we're gonna have dark, light. So for my red gem, I'm gonna start out with, actually I'm gonna show you a diagram from my book. So when we're looking at lighting on a gem, here's the colors I've got. I'm starting with my base color. That's my just plain old red that I'm using. I'm gonna have a lighter color version of the base and then a lightest. So I've got like a pink, and I might do a light pink, then a darker and darkest. And whenever you're painting something and you want, the realistic lighting and shadows, you're always imagining which way your light source is coming from. So for this gem, I'm going to imagine it coming from the upper left. That's kind of my default when I paint things. I imagine the light coming from this way, so my shadows are down here. So if you're imagining that, your lightest shade's going to be over here by your light. The first thing that a ray of light hits will be your lightest shade of pink. And as you work your way around to the opposite side, it's going to get darker. So that's just kind of a diagram to help you imagine where we're going to put all of these colors that we're going to play with here. So we'll pull that out, and I'm going to load up my base red here. Just fill in that middle section. And then as I work my way around filling in all these little shapes, you don't have to get, exactly the same color in the same spot as I am, but generally if you're having your lighter colors up here in this upper left and your darkers down here, it will work in the end. Just trust me.
Okay.
I'm gonna
if
go
you could move
for
it a little bit more to the left.
There we
Thank
go. Yeah, zoom in. I gotta quit wiggling.
Well, no, it's not the zooming in that's the problem. It's Instagram is actually on a
yeah.
portrait, so I'm just
Okay.
trying to, yeah.
Thank you. Keep telling me that, because I get in the zone here.
It's not a problem. You got to do several things at once. I only have to do one job.
Well, I'm doing some of my pink over here towards the left, upper left, where my light's coming from. I can make this brighter. Is that too washed out? No, it's not too bad. Okay, and then I want to do a little bit darker red. I'm gonna go with some of this out of my Deep Love. Mix a little bit. I mix in my cakes a lot, just to get a little bit darker version of my red. And now I'm down here on that lower right corner, putting in some of those darker shades. Now, one of the, I think, most common mistakes people make trying to paint a realistic gem is they leave all these outlines, so it looks kind of cartoony. What you want to do as you paint is try to blend away those lines. So the facets on your gem are defined by the contrast of color between them, not by an outline. That's what'll make it look really more realistic. I'm going to pick up this nice dark maroon from my Deep Love cake. Get down here. Now I'm getting a little bit darker version as I get more towards that bottom right. So if you're doing a green gem, you're using a really dark forest green here. Just something darker. And I'm trying to cover up those outlines as I go. I have, let's see, I've got some pink in there. Maybe I do a little lighter pink. I'm going to mix some of my glycerin-based white in with my pink here. Do a little bit of that. And then if you have a few spots left, you can fill them in with your neon, your metallic, just to add a little more dimension. I've got a metallic red here. We'll see if it shows up. It's not a whole lot different than my main red, but adds a little something. Get that nice neon from my deep love cake.
Mm-hmm.
You just want them a little different enough that you can still see those shapes. I still have a couple over here on the left. I'll make a darker red. I'm mixing a little bit of brown with my red here to put another darker shade there. I'm slipping out of a screen, aren't I? Sometimes I'll paint something in and I'll like, I don't like how that looks, and I'll just go back over it with a different shade.
Mm-hmm.
Put pink in there for now. And I've left a couple of spots open. The thing that really makes it pop is the real high contrast. So adding some black and white. I have a little sample gem here. You can see that there's even black and white in there. This gives you crazy light reflections with the lights I'm using, but
If you could move your hand a little bit to the left.
there you go.
Thank you.
I'm gonna move my paint to the right. That'll remind me to keep my hand to the
There you go.
So now I'm gonna get out my glycerin based white and black. And these I use both glycerin and wax because the glycerin will be a little bit softer and the wax base will be super bright. I'm gonna do, I think, this one with my glycerin base. Changing my mind, covering up that pink. Actually, it's nice to start with a color underneath because they'll kind of blend with the glycerin paint. We'll make it a light pink. And then I'm going to take my glycerin black. I'm using Paradise here. And yeah, I'm kind of starting to lose some of these facets down here. So I'm going to make this one be a glycerin black. That brush is a little dry there. The glycerin just does better blending than the wax base. That's why I like both. And then when I want my really blackest black and my whitest white, I come in with my wolf. And let's see, maybe we'll do that one inside a little bit. Finish that off with my wax-based wolf white. And that one's going to be in that upper left corner where my light source is coming at. All right, how's that looking? I'm getting a little shadow from my lighting here, but another thing you can do if you're seeing some of these facets that are kind of blending together is you can take a little bit of your glycerin white and just kind of add a little bit to one side and blend it. And I'm just using a wet brush to blend that a little bit to make, ooh, there's a big gummy gob. Just to make that kind of have a little more contrast from the one next to it. And this is something like I could sit and fiddle with for an hour, but isn't realistic on the job, but it looks pretty cool already as it is. Just having, you know, that light on this side, dark on this side helps give it that 3D look. And we're going to put some kind of setting on here. We'll do silver. I've got just a gray here. I'll use. Ooh, it's spinning around. I got these on a little whiteboard. All right. I'm just gonna go all the way around this, do a big, nice, solid setting.
Mhm.
It's always nice to look at actual jewelry for reference. There's a lot of different ways you can do a setting on a gem. Prongs or little beads. But for this one, I'm just going to go all the way around it here, and we'll do some kind of something for a chain to attach to. I don't know, there's probably a technical word for that.
There probably is.
People who design jewelry, I'm sure, have
There's always a technical
a
word,
name.
no matter
There
what.
is. Yes.
Yeah.
My definitions usually include the word thingy or something.
Thingy is
Bob.
also whatchamacallit. Whatchamacallit's a pretty good, covers it all.
Yeah, it's kind of
Thingamajiggy,
universal.
thingamajiggies.
Thingamajiggy,
Yeah.
thingamajigger. It
Yeah.
all works. So I'm pretending I'm holding this in my hand. So I'm gonna put a chain around here. When I do a chain, I can do it on, I'll do it on paper for you first. Basically, if a chain was laying perfectly flat, it would be a circle, a line. Yeah. Circle, a line, a circle, a line, because you've got, a link this way and then a link turned that way. So that's one easy way to just
It's called a bail.
make a chain. A bail. Okay. See, you have some official
Hello,
words.
Mexico.
Not round thingy and straight thingy. That is one way you can paint a little chain. Another way, I'm gonna do just a real quickie one. I'm gonna just paint my line where I want my chain to go. Let's say it's hanging there up between my fingers and dangling down my hand or something. There's my necklace. We'll give it a little clasp. And a ring. And then I'm gonna make a ball chain here. So I'm taking this little dotting tool. I call these Deb's daughters. I named them after my friend Deb, who was a face painter, who showed me these things. She doesn't have any actual daughters, but
if she
this
did,
is Deb's daughter.
that would be her brush.
Oh, yes. So I'm going to load that up with, I can get this all in with some gray. And I'm going to tip it on its side and just kind of scrub it on my black cake. It's basically like a double dipped brush, but very tiny. Press and twist. And that gives me this kind of 3D looking little bead balls. I think that's called a ball chain. Like those chains that your stencils come on.
Gotcha.
That it gives you that illusion of 3 dimension here. As I'm doing this, I'm making sure my black side again is, ooh, I'm getting shadowy. My black side is down here on this lower right side, so that it's realistic with my light source again. So I got a chain there that's a pretty quick one to do if you have a tiny daughter like that. Daughter. We can add a little dimension to this part here with some black. I'm taking my glycerin black here. Just kind of adding a little shadow on the lower and right side. Put a little bit on top there. And I'm going to shade the inside of my setting here with a little glycerin black. And the outside of it, again, that's that lower right side. Might be getting a little wonky here since I'm bumping my phone with my with my brush, but you get the idea. We'll add a little glycerin based white for highlights here too. Now I'm working in that upper left side. To add a little highlight. This is the upper left of my setting. And this is kind of the inside of it. It makes it look a little dimensional there. I put a little highlight on my clasp. Some dots on those beads of my bead chain. And they don't have to all be perfectly uniform either. You don't even have to hit every one. In real life, things have a little variation. It makes it look more realistic. Now
Very creative, says MM. Thank you for sharing your technique.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining me. I can't wait to see what you guys paint. I'm going to put a hot spot right here. So this is like I lost my lights. The pointiest part facing the light source. So if I was using this gem and my light was up here, it'd be like, no, that spot there. Ooh, it actually looks like a hot spot on camera. You can just make a dot there. If you want to, it might be a little bit too wet here, but you can do a little burst to make it really shiny.
Rebecca says it's amazing how it all comes together. Very cool.
Oh, yes. I think once you get those really white whites and really dark darks, that's when it really starts to pop. And you could, you might add a little burst, a couple other spots. But yeah, really makes it pop. And then the other thing that will really make it pop off your hand is your drop shadow. So I'm going to get my black and brown here. Now, when you're painting a drop shadow, one mistake a lot of people do is they just go to black right away. And your drop shadow should actually be a darker shade of whatever the surface is that your object is sitting on, not just necessarily black. So if you want to make it really realistic, find a darker shade of your skin. So I'm using a little brown. I'm going to mix a little black into it as well. And again, we're imagining our light sources coming from up here. Our shadow, our drop shadow is going to be on the lower right side. So I'm only painting on the lower right here. And then this just looks like a lot of brown, but we're going to blend it. I'm just kind of going under my bead chain here, always on the left, or I mean the right, sorry, right, lower right for my shadow. If it helps, you can even paint an arrow for your light source just to remind you where it's coming from. Lower right, lower right, lower right. And I don't know if you've ever, when you were a kid, had those paint with water books.
Yep.
Where like there's paint kind of embedded in the paper and you just wet it and smear it around. That's kind of what I do with my shadow. So I painted this on. It's obviously not super realistic, it's just a brown line. But I love these chameleon blending brushes for this. You don't have to get a chameleon blending brush. You can get a crusty old splayed out floofy brush that's worn out and that'll work too. Something fluffy. So I dip it in my water and I kind of dab off some. That's a little too wet. I just kind of go around and soften the edge of that up. I really just have a tiny bit of water on my brush. No paint even. But it's like activating that paint that's on my hand and spreading it around. Now my hand is not a perfectly flat surface. If I look at my hand, your palm is kind of dips in. So the shadow, if I was holding something like this, would be a little bit little bit bigger in the middle there. With my lights coming this way, showing kind of that depth of my palm. So I'm going to make it a little bigger in the middle. And as you come up to the edges here where the gem would be sitting flat against my hand, that shadow gets a little tighter and smaller against my hand. It just helps with that illusion. And I'm just going to kind of go around and blend a little bit of these. I'm getting messy fingers. And there you go. If you want to add a little bit more depth, let's see, how am I doing on time?
Hello, Mexico. Kim says amazing dimension.
Oh, thank you.
What body are you using? I don't know what that means. Body paint, I mean. What paint are you using?
Oh, paint. So I am using my blacks. I've got Paradise and Wolf. I have, I think Superstar for my reds and pinks. My metallic red is a Superstar. And then I've got my Praise Deep Love I used for the neon. I use a big mix of things.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, you all have your favorites for depending on what you're doing. Right now I'm adding a little bit of that Glycerin black just to make that shadow pop even more. And then I go back again and blend that again. So I never want to have really super crisp, clean lines. That's what makes it look cartoony. Another mistake people make when they're painting their shadows is they leave a little gap between the object and the shadow. And that makes it look kind of like it's hovering. But you want to really tuck that shadow right up against your object because it's going to be the blackest right underneath your object. All right, how's that look on your end, guys?
Looks good. Hello from Portugal.
Portugal, wow, Portugal, Mexico.
It's everywhere, I tell you.
So cool. You guys are awesome. What time is it in Portugal, I wonder?
About 5-6 hours ahead, something like that.
Well, thanks for joining us. So this kind of walks you through just how to do a basic gem and some shading.
And just to let you know, you've got about 30 minutes.
Okay, I think we're going to switch over to a decolletage design.
Okay.
So I'm going to switch my camera here. Hopefully not lose you guys. I'm looking at my, there we go. We'll flip it. Hey, there we are. All right, talk amongst yourselves. There we go.
There you go. Okay, we'll probably have to zoom it in more on your neck.
We will zoom in. We'll get this guy out of the way here.
Landon says that's so cool.
Who's painting along? I hope you guys are trying out a gem. It's fun to see all the different colors people pick too. All righty, I'm gonna grab my mirror so I can see myself. Painting in the mirror took a lot of years to get down. I think I can kind of do it now. And I was going to do this, I was telling Blake, on a board, but that whole blending technique just doesn't quite work the same, I feel like, on plastic as skin. So we're going to try this and see if I can do it in 30 minutes or less.
You can do it.
If I'm by myself, but you know, talking always stretches things out.
What are you using to get shadow looks?
Shadow looks I am using, so I just have a brown, I don't know what this one's, probably a Superstar. And I'm using my Glycerin black, which is a Paradise. So whatever I would suggest a Glycerin based paint for shadows just because it blends better. So whatever your favorite Glycerin base is. Krylon's a good Glycerin based paint as well. Here's what I'm going to use next. So we're going to do something kind of a decolletage choker kind of design, which I think I have I'll show you in my book too. We'll do a little bit of like a lace effect. And if I can find it, we're going to do a little Halloween twist on it for you since we're coming up on that season.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do some Tahitian pearls in there too. So this one, we're going to use some other tools to help speed things up a little bit. Yeah, no, I can't find it, but you'll just be surprised when I do it on myself. How
Hello,
about
New
that?
Zealand.
New Zealand. Hello, New Zealand friends. You're just in time for decolletage. I'm going to use some stencils here. We're going to speed things up a little bit with some other tools that we have in our kit. All right, so I'm going to do what the stencil I've got here is a BAM 1032. You could really use any kind of fancy ornate stencil and turn it into lace if you want. Let's see. Let me know if I go off camera again here because I'm going to look in a mirror, but
Okay. We need if we're going to zoom your neck, we're going to have to get a lot closer.
ooh. Oh,
You have to either bring it closer or you have
yeah.
to flip it. The only way to zoom it in is to, yeah,
Oh,
just
to
bring it in
flip it.
closer. That's
I'll
the
just
easiest way.
bring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid if I flip it, then I really won't know if I go out of camera. If I stand on, ooh, no, I'll be too tall. All right, let's try this. I'm going to do some black lace with this. Do a kind of Halloween look. I'm using a little mini kabuki brush. I used to sell these wood ones, which I loved, and then they quit making them. Now I've got plastic ones, which they work. They're cheap, but they do the job. So I'm going to use this part of the stencil as kind of my focal point. And I like these little kabukis because in the really detailed stencils, you can just kind of scrub it, swirl it around, get in all the tiny details without catching on the stencil itself. I find the little foam daubers sometimes can catch on your stencil and bend it. But I still use those too. Depends on the design. So there's my center. I'm going to take this little piece here and just repeat it around to make kind of a lacy looking choker here. That one looks like it got a little wet. We all just love stencils, don't we? How people think they're so easy. You watch Tamina, like, how do you do that so perfect?
Well, Tamina does awesome graffiti designs, among other things. She does amazing everything.
She's amazing. Just have to figure out a way to work Tamina into tonight because I love her.
Yeah.
All right, I'm working my way up my neck here.
Everybody wonders how I find people. Gretchen,
Yeah.
I ask face painters I really like, and I say, who do you like? That's how I do it.
Oh,
Tamina recommended Gretchen, so there we are.
well, what an honor to be liked by Tamina.
It is an honor to be liked by
That's
Tamina.
cool. I'm just kind of flipping this around and making my own shapes out of it. All right, so I've got a little lacy kind of like design. And again, this can be any kind of fancy ornate stencil. I'm going to use this topaz. Might have been designed by Tamina too. I don't know, 1694.
I don't know. Maybe.
I like that one for lamb eye designs. I'm just going to use this to kind of finish it off up here. Ooh, I don't even know if you'll see it with my hair, but kind of gives that look of some beads going up around. up and around the neck. So I've got really a big area covered pretty quick with stencils here. And I have, let's see, how's my time? Ooh, oh, the pressure.
24 whole minutes.
24 minutes. Okay, maybe I can do this. I made.
Would makeup powder work if you don't use black paint for shadow?
Yes, I think a powder would work. It would be a little harder, I think, to get that range of that fade from dark to light with a powder. I think you can do that, but you'll get a little bit more contrast, I think, with paint than with a powder. But that is a great way to make shadows too, if you want like a nice soft light shadow. I'm gonna grab some wipes. So I have a stencil, another stencil I'm gonna use just to speed up this one. It's one that I made specifically for gems. So the one problem with stencils, gem stencils, I got frustrated with. I'm just clearing out my around gem spot here with a wipe. Is that they just the way they're designed, they create those cartoony kind of outlines between all your facets. So, so I made this one that has basically you go in steps and layers, and then each section can butt right up against the neck, so you don't have all of those cartoony kind of lines in between things. I'm going to use green here. I'm going to do kind of a Beetlejuice feel here to this decolletage, and just start with a round green circle. So I have etched on this stencil. It's a little tough to see on camera, but notes underneath. So it says base color and then darkest. It kind of reminds me what to do. And then I line this up, which is easier to do on someone else than yourself. Line it up and do my darker shade.
Okay.
Then my darkest. Oh boy, darkest, there it is. And by separating all of these steps on the stencil, they kind of can line up next to each other, just like we did by hand. Then we do our lighter shade. Got a lighter green here. And then we've got the glycerin based white and black, just like we did earlier. Line that up. The glycerin white up here. So this is in, the light's coming this way. And then glycerin black down here. And then we have our wax based. Wax based white. Whoop. And I splotched it a little. But you get the idea. The same kind of thing we just did by hand, we're doing in the middle of our choker here. And I'm going to use some yellow and do a gold setting on this one, since we did silver in our last one. I'm kind of mixing a little yellow with a little orange. If you look at a piece of jewelry and you're painting gold or silver, it's kind of cool to look at all the different colors that are in it. So like in my book here, I took a photo of a gold chain, and I took the eyedropper tool in Photoshop and just touched it on different areas. And you could just see all the colors that pull out, and something that's gold, something that's bronze, a lot of different colors in there. There'll be yellows and browns and oranges. I'm going to grab another mirror.
Wendy says, beautiful. How long would you take to do this normally?
Oh boy, this one, I could probably do this in 10 minutes maybe on myself. I'm not talking and
Fair enough.
explaining things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to, yeah, it's
And
tough to
Wendy says that
estimate.
stencil is pure genius. You need to sell these.
Oh, thank you. I do. Actually, I've got just a few shapes and I was debating whether I even use it today because I'm not trying to sell stencils. And
And you're
I
using
don't like making them. I'm bad at making them,
are you
but I
using
do have them.
star blends or paints for stencils?
I am using paint, but
Hmm.
you sure can use star blends. That's
Yeah.
another good way to get like all those different shades to start
Uh-huh.
out with a star blend and then or do a star blend on top of paint to get kind of a new shade of your main color.
Yeah. Okay.
I would still probably use the wax based white for your highlights to get that really, really white.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, star blends are great for stencils. So you don't get that big gob like I did. I'm just doing another kind of gold rim around my gem there. I'll zoom in. It's hard to teach these kind of things in groups because they're so tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let me know if you can't see. So I've got a gem like I did in my hand, just a bunch of random black stenciling going on there. We can kind of connect them since right now I have little bits that are floating. Just take a little black and add something to connect them together. So it doesn't look like chunks of lace floating on my neck here.
Mm-hmm.
And one fun thing to do when you're painting jewelry, just to get that illusion, is to match it up with some jewelry you're actually wearing. So I've got these
Sure.
spider earrings to get with our
Uh,
Halloween theme.
Brenda says the gold really makes it pop.
Yeah, doesn't it? I think
Yeah.
silver would have blended away a little more being on a black lace,
And it's a
but
lot cheaper
gold.
than real jewelry. It should be added. Yeah. Yeah.
It sure is. Takes a lot longer to put it on, but
Now, Arlie wants to know how can she get your book?
oh, so my book is available at on my website, paintertainment.com. If you
Uh-huh.
click on books, you'll find them all there. There are some other stores around that I think in Europe that have them. Um, I can't remember if I have a page with links to those, but yeah, if you're somewhere else in the world outside the US, send me a message. I'll see if I can help you find somebody more local. I'm
Excellent.
going to add a little spider. Halloween. This is a hot wing stencil,
Mm-hmm.
which they start out looking like this shape. You've
Mm-hmm.
seen these, are more for airbrush. I chop my stuff up. So don't be afraid to like cut up your tools and make them work for you. I find I don't use that shape. I use, I just want this little spider. I like this spider. I'm going to put him right here just to turn this into a Halloween design. I got too wet there again. Yeah, I should have done the star one. But we're going to add some little pearls draping here too. I'm going to take my brown just for reference and just draw a faint line where I want my pearls to go. I'll do it a little darker so you guys can see it than what I would normally do on myself. We want them to drape naturally. We'll do something here to connect our spider. And I'm going to do some Tahitian pearls for you guys. So I've got a little round dauber here. These are Martha Stewart, made by Martha Stewart. I think I got them at Michael's. I used to sell these little wood ones, which I love, and they don't make them anymore either. If you know where to get these, let me know because mine are looking kind of cruddy. But the small size is good for pearls, and I'm gonna get it wet here are the colors I use for a Tahitian pearl. So I basically triple dip my dauber. Started out, well, that's too wet too. Started out with I forget, I kind of wet my paints before I started today. No wonder everything's drippy. I'm starting with kind of a metallic pink. And then I'm gonna, like I did before with that little daughter for a bead chain, I'm gonna just scrub one edge of it. I'm gonna mist this though, a little water. I got my pink. I'm gonna put a little bit of global dark blue on one side. You can see that there's a little dark blue, and I'm gonna just get a little bit of metallic green on there too on the other side. So I've got the whole thing pink, and I've got global dark blue, metallic green. I'm putting that global dark blue on the bottom. That's my darker color, my shadow. Shadow's over here. My light's up here. And I'm gonna just press and twist. Press and twist. And make a row of Tahitian pearls. If I'm gonna do just like a regular pearl, I do white with a little pink, maybe a little yellow. But a dauber makes these really quick when you're not blabbing so much like I am.
Well, it's when you're teaching a class, it just doesn't. It's not the same. It just
I know it's hard.
There's real
estimate.
speed, and then there's like you're focused and you're not talking, and
like I swear I can do this in less than half an hour. I have a video on YouTube of real time cheek art painting where I just recorded myself at a county fair, and yeah, that one gives you a better idea. I just added another one right here on my spider, so his body is another pearl. And I'm gonna go back to that little Dib's daughter I was using before. These things, the dentists use these too to put fluoride on your teeth. I learned last time I was at the dentist. I was like, oh, I use that for something very different. Okay, I'm loading up my yellow and scrubbing a little bit of my brown. I know you can't see that one, but and I'm gonna add just a little touch of gold in between my pearls. That's kind of ties in with the setting on my gem. And you can stop at just a gem and lace on somebody at a gig and be a pretty cool design. A lot of this stuff you can do a quicker on the job version and a more elaborate one if you want. So now my spider's hanging from a little gold bead chain, and we'll add some drop shadows. Right now it's kind of cool, kind of realistic, but the thing that makes it really pop is those shadows and highlights. I'm going to start with my drop shadow. I love doing decolletage on like the party mom who sits down at the end and says, just do something pretty yummy. And usually I get like creative block when people say do whatever you want. But if they're wearing something where there's a low enough cut in their shirt that I can do a necklace, then it's like, okay, I can work with that. You can always look at their outfit and get ideas right from that. And then you don't have to start with just the pressure of coming up with something. I'm putting a little, again, my light's here coming from up here. So I'm putting my brown, drawing that brown line that just looks like a line right now. We're going to go fade it away though. It looks more realistic. And then I take my worn out foofy brush, or in this case, my chameleon small blending brush. It's just wet, just barely wet.
Michelle says, I'm excited to practice this, thinking it will come in handy with Mardi Gras in January and February.
Oh, cool. I can't wait to see what you do.
Add
yes, Mardi Gras, the
and all that
amazing.
Stuff.
Yes. Yeah, this kind of shading and jewels is really cool on a mask. I love painting masks.
And just to let you know, we got another 10 minutes.
10 minutes to go. All right. What else can I sneak in
Can you
there
zoom
in
in
10
a
minutes?
tad more? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see. And no, it's so hard to see these tiny things.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
I'll stand up here.
There you
Oh,
go.
I got, now I see. Whoa, I'm gonna hear that. Let's get that frizzy off. I'm gonna put some highlights on here. I gotta get a mirror so I can see. There. All right, so my pearls they've got a shadow, but they need a highlight. Ooh, I put it on the wrong side. I need to go on this side for my highlight. Now, one other thing people do, I am guilty myself,
Mm-hmm.
that is like, well, you have to take a picture first of all when you're doing an illusion like this when you're done. Because a lot of times things just look even more realistic in your photo.
Yeah.
But when you do
And
that,
and what outfit would you wear with that jewelry?
oh, well, I mean anything with a drop neck like this,
Mm-hmm.
I think would be good. This I was thinking would be cool with a Halloween, maybe Beetlejuice black and white striped something. Got the
Mm-hmm.
green and purple in there. But yeah, when you're taking that final picture, you got to make sure that your real light source in real life is actually coming from the direction that you've been painting it from all along. So I've painted things. I've got another example in my book too of one that's photographed with the light on the wrong side, and it just looks wonky. It's not right. So part of getting that illusion in the end is taking the photo from the right direction. Now I've got a little of that glycerin, not glycerin, wax-based white, really white
Mm-hmm.
highlights in there. Um, I want to add a little more dimension to the lace. You could take a
Hey, Barbara.
glycerin-based
Oh, sorry.
edge.
Uh,
Is that Barbara that I know?
that's the Barbara you know.
We all know Barbara, don't we? Hi, Barbara.
We absolutely know Barbara.
We all love Barbara. I'm doing just a little glycerin-based white on the edge of my lace here, just to make it pop a little more. You can also pull out your liquid bling. You want to add a little extra? We got on to 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There's always room for extra when you're going for a big design like this. I got a little green. What is this one? Atlantis liquid bling.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way to add just the look of gems real quickly. Just put a little
Michelle
dot.
says, "Aren't we painting our nude bodies for costumes for the jewelry?" Haha. Uh, well, that's between you and your God.
Yeah.
I don't. We at facepaint.com are going to do that on a webinar because we would just be banned or something nuts like that.
Oh
It would just
yeah,
be
you
not
got this.
great. It would not be great. But a good thought,
Oh
nonetheless, a good thought.
yeah. Hey, I mean, who's to say you can't just paint a whole lace bodysuit, right?
Exactly right.
Uh,
And what colors would you use for white pearls? So says Celeste.
ooh, white pearl. So there, I got some actual sparkly gems in there.
Right.
Let me see if I can find my page just to show you a picture of my in my book. But I usually I load it with white first, and then I add a little like pastel pink or blue. I might do pink or yellow on one side and blue on the other.
Okay.
Ooh, here's my pearl page. So
Mm-hmm.
this one I've got. Oh, this one I actually have brown on one side and yellow. Sometimes I add a little bit of light pink or blue in there just with a brush to add some more color. But yeah, there's one with some white pearls. Um, yeah, the important thing though is just to make sure that darker color is down here where the shadows are and the lighter ones where your light's coming from. So this is something you could uh, put on yourself for a Halloween party, or if you had a client who was hiring you for some special makeup private session you can spend a little more time on. But you can also simplify it for a gig with just stencils and a gem. And yeah, I like to have really quick versions of everything I do for more on the job, and you can always go in and add more to it and put in more detail when you have time. But as long as you keep those sim principles, it'll look realistic.
Jessica says that would be too painting naked would be too cold for Halloween, which is true. And
Yes,
what is
especially here in Minnesota.
and yeah, yeah, that'd be rough. And Rebecca says, what is your store again? It's Paintertainment, right?
Paintertainment, yes.
.com.
Yep, like entertainment, but with painter in front of it.
And
I
Jessica
think I have
also asked
anything in
what
front of me.
stencil was again. What was the stencil for the choker?
That one I used was 10 BAM 1032.
Okay.
Kind of crusty looking here, but yeah, I have, well, not within reach, but I have a lot of different, just kind of fancy, ornate, doily looking kind of stencils you can use. You can use just parts of a stencil too and connect them all together.
Mm-hmm.
Anything fancy, just, make sure you connect the pieces with a little paint by hand, so then it looks more like a solid piece.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I think we have reached the close of our hour. Thank you guys very much. In terms of webinars and everything else, the next webinar is going to be Pam Kinneberg on September 23rd. I think it's at the same bat time as this one, which
Hello,
is
Pam.
5:30. And then we're going to have Linnea Honorby Novak doing butterflies. So Pam's going to be doing princess crowns, and Linnea is on September 30th. And we're going to have a master class. It's going to be an advanced master class for metallic body art with Dutch Bahari on September 26th on professional face art. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. And I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I hope you had a fun and productive time. Thank you very much, Gretchen.